Hey there, gang. Welcome back to Papa's Model Workshop. I'm Papa. This is my workshop. So I know that I think it was the last video I had mentioned that I had to strip the Corvette again. So I have repainted it, and here's where we are right now with the Corvette. All right. And, I know that I have been discussing this Papa's Basics with regard to airbrushes and paints and so forth. And I think along that timeline, I think that I said I was going to do some basics on paint for the next video, which I guess would be this video, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to put that on hold simply because I'm really in the home stretch with this. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to discuss a couple of home stretch procedures that I do anyway, and see if maybe they're a little bit helpful for you. Couple of things. My friend Jamie G from Jamie G's Scale Model Garage, okay? He sent me a message just recently, and it had to do with the Kaleido primers, specifically the top here. Now, if you've used these primers, you may have had the opportunity to shake this, and it leaks. Okay, it leaks right out of there. All right, it gets all over the place. So I'm going to show you. See, I got no leak. All right, we're nice and tight, no leaking. So my friend Jamie G sent me this message regarding that exact thing, and his solution was you take the cap off. Right? Watch me make a mess of this now. Okay, I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up, but right inside here where the threading is on the inside of the cap, right? He said that he literally cut 1/8 of an inch off the bottom of that cap. So in other words, it's lowering the threaded part down so it fits on the bottle more securely. And that seems to have stopped the leakage problem. So I went up, I've got a bandsaw up in my garage, and I measured off exactly 1/8 of an inch as Jamie specified, and that seems to work. So credit to Jamie G for coming up with a solution to the leakage issue with these caps, okay? So go check out his channel, and if you have not subscribed to him, give him a sub, give him a thumbs up, and let him know in the comments that you tried his solution, and let him know how it worked for you, okay? But I thought that was really pretty neat that he came up with that. Jamie G's Scale Model Garage. All right, let's see. What else here? Let's give a shout out to my sponsor, Gallery. Okay, 10% off on all of their airbrushes, equipment supplies, and Kaleido paints. And right now they are running their Black Friday sale. I think that runs until December 18th, actually. And I think it's 45%. So what that means is you get 45% plus you can stack an additional 10% off with my PPMW discount code. So you get more money off. How's that? All right. My Amazon store is up, kinda. It's called Papa's Model Workshop Store on Amazon. And Jimmy set that all up for me. Now, I did a test run, and I put in my discount code, and it didn't work. So I have to go back and see why that is not working. So the store is established. Something with the codes linking everything together isn't meshing, so I have to figure that out. But the store is up. It is all stocked with lots of great stuff from Gallery. So let me figure out what that coding issue is, and I will let you know. Okay. I also have mentioned that I actually have another friend by the name of Jamie G. Now, this is a different Jamie G. Actually, she goes by the name of Jamie Sophia G. I guess that's how I can separate the two. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to her because she sent me a message. I guess it was just over this past weekend that she was going to her very first model show in Port Charlotte, Florida. So she was real excited about that. She sent me some photographs of the 3 builds that she was taking to the show. And boy, I'll tell you, she she does a nice job. She's a heck of a model builder. She really is. Anyway, she sent me another message and she said it was a swap meet. It wasn't really a show. So I guess she was a little bit disappointed by that. But it was her first time going to a show. So even going to a swap meet for the very first time, that's really still a rather cool thing to do. So anyway, Jamie Sophia G, thanks for sending me the picture. She sent me a picture of a T-bird, a wildcat, and Jamie, I'm just sorry, I can't remember the third one you sent me, but I do recall that all 3 builds were really just top-notch. Good stuff. Okay, what else here? Oh, okay. Wilbur Ross, 9709. Now, I had showed that I had done wet sanding on this Corvette, okay? And this is a candy, so it was a clear blue Tamiya X23 over a silver base. So Wilbur Ross sent me a message, and he said, you shouldn't be sanding candy colors. And I said to him, well, I kind of use the same protocol that I usually use when I apply my 2K clear. And then his response back to me was, well, you can do that, but your clear tinted colors, well, they're tinted. So when you sand it, it's going to have potentially a negative effect because it is a tinted clear. So that kind of made sense, something I had not thought of. So kudos to Wilbur Ross for sending that in. All right. What else do we... Roland, what does that say? Roland Ron wants to see me at the next NNL East in April. All right. Well, I will be there, and hopefully we will get together and we'll be able to say hello. In fact, Jamie Sophia G wants to get together and say hello. She's down in Florida, but my understanding is she grew up and went to high school here on Long Island, and she's going to be here. I guess it's this upcoming summer. So she had said she would like to say hello at that time when she's on Long Island. So I am looking forward to that. Jack Damask. It's gratifying to see, with much more experience than myself, people on YouTube make mistakes and are willing to discuss how they walk or work through it. Take my word for it. I make my share of mistakes. And if you've been following this Corvette build, that's a prime example. I make mistakes all the time. But I like to show, my mistakes for a couple of reasons. Number one, I still don't know how to edit. So what I show you on these videos is in real time. But the other thing is even after I do eventually get to the part where I edit, I'll still show you my boo-boos. Because number one, I want to give you the benefit of not making that boo-boo by pointing my boo-boo out. And it gives me an opportunity to show you what I attempted anyway in fixing the boo-boo. So, but trust me, I make my share of boo-boos. Because sometimes you watch channels and, you're watching and things just go along, boom, 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 and everything is perfect and great. And, it gives you sometimes the thought that, gee, how come I can't just move along without any errors or boo-boos or anything like that? We all do. We all make our share of boo-boos. So let's see. I've got... oh, I just did that. Okay. Jamie's Scale Garage about the bottle tap, or bottle cap, rather. So I already did that. And what else have I got here? There was another one here. Oh, here it is. It's down here. Todd Schneider, 9906, says he's new to this hobby. And he's learning a lot. And thanks for keeping the fire lit. All right. Well, Todd, anytime you have any questions of any kind, feel free to send me an email or a private message, or you can even put it in the comments section here, or if you're watching on the Facebook side, you can put it there. But like I said, you can also send me an email to that effect. Here's my email right there. Okay. And I will try my best to answer any questions you have, or anybody else for that matter. And if I don't have the answer, I will not steer you wrong by guessing. I will steer you to who I think does have the answer. And if you are a shop card provider, I guess. I don't know. If you're a content creator, that's what I'm trying to say. If you're a content creator and you want to swap shop cards, there is my mailing address right there. All right. So I guess that does it for this list today. So as I mentioned, I want to go back into the shop as I'm winding down this Corvette. Now, here's the thing, when you get down to the home stretch, at least speaking for myself now, you're winding up and you're excited to get it done. And if you're like me, you're already thinking about your next build. And sometimes you have a tendency to kind of rush it along. And it's the one time where you really should take your time. A lot of the little things at the end, like the bare metal foil here on the front. This was done in bare metal foil, all right? Little things like that, where you put on the panel. I put on my panel lines in the end, okay? But little things like that are going to be viewed first by the viewer. Now, I've mentioned in the past that I was an oil painter a long, long time ago in another galaxy far, far away, all right? And the thing that I was taught in oil painting is that a lot of the last detail things that you put on at the very end are usually the things that a viewer to that painting will look at first. And I think that a lot of that applies to your build. It's the little details that go on right at the very end that stand out to a viewer. So this is the time where you really want to kind of take your time when you're in that home stretch. All right, let's head back and let's take a look. Okay, gang, we're back here at the build bench. And the one thing that I wanted to point out, now I'm talking to the beginners, mostly here, you more experienced folks. I'm sure that you know this. But from my perspective, all right, I like to think of my model as 3 individual models that are going to kind of be put together at the end to make one model, right? And your first model is your exterior body and so forth. Okay, your second one is right here, your chassis, and where you mount your engine into the engine compartment and so forth, and the undercarriage and so forth. Yes, I finally got some of the weathering on here. All right, and the third model that you're working on is your interior. Okay. So, this is, you're going with 3 separate models that are the same model. And this is where at the end, when you're in the final home stretch, where you're going to merge all 3 of these into your finished build. Okay. All right. There you go. These are going to, or these three will become one. All right. So that's the way I kind of like to think about it, that you're doing three separate models and they're all going to be merged into one towards the end. This is where I, again, repeating myself, say, you should take your time. All right. Now, a lot of times when you're trying to marry your chassis with the body, a lot of times that's a difficult thing to do. It seems like it should be simple and straightforward, but a lot of you more experienced people, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. This doesn't always go right on. Sometimes it does, but other times it's really a challenge. Same thing with your interior tub. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get that up into your body. Now, some kits will feature the interior tub being mounted like this, okay, onto the chassis, all right? And then you put the whole thing up into the body, all right? Other kits call for this to be mounted up into the body, all right? Let's see here, okay, like this, and then mounting this onto the chassis. And in fact, that's exactly what this kit calls for. It calls for this to be mounted into the body and then putting that whole thing down on the chassis. You want to make sure that you go slowly, because if things are not exactly fitting just right, you tend to sometimes get frustrated and you start pushing and pulling, and you don't want to start breaking things or snapping things off and so forth. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. When you get into the home stretch, it's a time that you should really slow down and take your time. Something that I will also suggest is, let me clear all of this. Hold on one second. Okay. The thing that I want to show you is something like the windshield, for example. Okay. Now, the windshield, a lot of times that can be a little tricky thing. All right. Now, what I would suggest is, first and foremost, put down a clean paper towel, okay, on your workbench, right? Because this is all, done up nicely and so forth. And I don't want to lay this down right on the work mat because, there's been glue and so forth on here and paint, and it's all dry, but if you run into a spot where maybe something isn't really completely dry, that little piece of glue that's not completely dry is going to end up on your car. Okay, so I like to put this down, and I can put this down on a nice clean surface. Okay, now for something like the windshield, for example, here's a suggestion. All right, and some people might come back and say, well, that's pretty elementary. We know this. Well, it might be elementary, I'm sure. But, it's little things like this where you get to the end, and sometimes, you're in a rush to finish it because, you want to wrap it up. And little things that are elementary sometimes escape you. I know that because it escapes me sometimes. But I'm using the windshield as an example. Now, what I do is I will use the canopy glue. All right. This is white, but it will dry clear. And typically what I will do is I will put a little bit of that canopy glue on a sticky note. All right. I keep the sticky note off here to my left. All right. And if I put just a little bit of this canopy glue on the sticky note, a tiny little pool, I'm talking about maybe 2 drops. Okay. And then I can go in and dip a toothpick into that little bit of glue, and I can put in a couple of dabs here and there. All right. So in other words, my frame is going to be all set and prepped for me to drop that windshield in. I've mentioned this before. I use this. Okay. And in fact, I'll see if I can find another piece of window here, and I'll demonstrate it if you have not seen that. Hang on one second. Okay, I found an unused piece of window. So this is a window. It's still on the sprue. You just press that button. You put this down in the middle, right, and it'll hold it. See that? All right. So that's what I use. Sorry, I'm hitting the camera mount. That's what I use. I'll use this. I'll put this right in the center, and I will bring this right into the window frame. All right. This is another area where you want to go slowly and take your time. And the biggest thing that I want to point out to you is this. Plan this out. Have yourself ready. So in other words, if the widest part of your windshield is down here, okay, you want to be able to have this in such a position off to the side here where the wide part is up here in the front and the narrower part is back here. So in other words, it's going to go right in. I have it set up to go right in. I hope I'm making sense and explaining that properly. The reason why I'm explaining something so elementary like that is you apply your glue, and sometimes you're in a rush to get this windshield in there, before the glue starts setting up. And in that process of rushing, a little thing like not having this windshield in its proper position sometimes can throw you off. So I have something like that. So it's lined up exactly. The wide part is up here facing that direction. So I can just take this, pick it up, and then right in. All right. Again, I hope I'm explaining that correctly. So that's just a couple of things that I like to do, in the home stretch and so forth. Another thing is that I'm going to probably put this decal right here. All right. This one right here. All right. On this front. All right. And actually, if you follow the instructions, it calls for this to go on right at the very end. So I am going to do that now, I think, because I think it would just be easier, to do this, before the hood is on the car. And, yes, the hood comes on and off, and I suppose that doesn't really matter. But anyway, I'm going to do it now while I've got the hood still detached from the Corvette. So anyway, that's where I am on the Corvette right now. And I'll go over something else with you. I already mentioned I did the front in the bare metal foil. All right. And I did the rear in the bare metal foil here. Okay. And I did these vents here. These came out okay. They could be better. I'll tell you what I did with this, and this is a little bit weird, I guess, but I shot this whole thing with the clear blue. Okay, so your vents were covered in the clear blue color. What I decided to do, take this for what it's worth, but remember, the underpainting on this blue is silver. So with this whole thing painted blue, I came in here with the X-Acto knife like this, okay, and very delicately went along the grid lines. And I actually scraped off the top blue color to expose the silver. All right, I hope I'm explaining that correctly. So in other words, I'm not adding paint, I'm actually removing paint to expose the silver. But of course, in doing that, you have to start with an underpainting. Now, another thing that could work for you is this, as I'm banging the camera again. This is a sanding actual stick. All right, a lot of times we talk about sanding sticks, and really these are sanding boards, I suppose. They're really not sanding sticks if you want to get down to real technical language. This is an actual sanding stick. All right. And what you can do with this is, because of the way this thing is configured, where you have these raised grids, if you lay it down flat, all right, and you can go right along and just gently hit the raised areas, okay? And then where you get into some of these other areas, you can see that this has got a little point, see? A dirty point at that. But anyway, and then, which is a good point, make sure it's clean. but you can go right in with the point and, hit these outer areas, okay, very gently. All right, so that's where we are with the Corvette. Hopefully the next video, this will be completed, and we can perhaps jump back to that video regarding the paint. And at that point, I'm hopeful that my Aventus airbrush, which is still in transit, I hope that will be here, and perhaps I can do a review of that. It would actually work out pretty well, right? Because we're going to discuss paint, and I could show you some different paints in that Aventus airbrush. All right, so I think that's going to do it for this time around. So as usual, I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in, for subscribing, and I will catch you all in the next video. Have a great day, okay?